They tell me you're a man with true grit.
What do you want, girl? Speak up at supper time.
On the fastest podcast on the planet. I'm your host, Shane Davis, my sidekick, Pat Moore. Pat, we're running a little behind tonight.
Yes, we are. Unfortunately, thank you everybody listening and watching for hanging in tight. We had a couple of technical difficulties, but we got a great crew behind us, and it sounds like we got everything fixed, and we're ready to rock and roll.
Now, that never happened with your race car, did it?
No,
What do you
that's why
think,
we always
Doug?
carry spares.
That's how that goes.
Yes, I want to introduce our guest tonight. It's going to be Doug Lenth. Thanks for joining us, Doug.
Oh, guys, thanks for having me.
We also have the boss man, Kelly Jeffries, here, also joining us here at the table.
Big boss man.
Yeah, big boss man.
Right. So, hey, Doug, we want to start out, I want to talk about that night out at Bluegrass, probably one of the low points in racing you had. You're in your modified, and you're a good drive shaft race.
That's a little incorrect.
Okay.
We were heading to a USMTS race.
There you go. Okay.
It rained out.
All right.
So we came back to Bluegrass, and we had an aluminum drive shaft in.
Okay.
That's not legal at Bluegrass.
All right.
So we took that out, put our steel drive shaft in for the, Burn wanted us to switch drive shafts, basically.
Okay.
People thought it was too much of an advantage.
All right.
So we had the steel drive shaft in.
And the steel drive shaft, I'm trying to remember back in the day. That was a little shorter. It didn't go into the tail of the tranny as deep.
No, the drive shaft actually broke off the rear end of the car.
Oh my gosh.
And what it was is with the aluminum drive shaft, we'd run about 8.5 degrees pinion angle.
Yeah.
The steel one, we'd run 8. And evidently, we just didn't have enough clearance. And it bound up.
Yeah.
Plus, Bluegrass always had a little water strip going across turn 3. You know, I think maybe that played a little into that.
Come on, man.
remember
You remember
that.
those, Pat?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
It's always nice if you're short on gear.
That's right. Man, I'm going to tell you what, you come down that front stretch and, if you're turning her at 7,200, you'll be the $8,000 after you run across that little patch of water. The funny thing was, we took a backhoe in there, we dug all that out, we filled it with gravel, put 55-gallon drums in there, and sump pumps. Man, you still had it. I mean, you wouldn't believe it. You pull the lid off those 55-gallon drums and the water would be so clear, you could just dip a glass down in there and take a drink of water. The old Hawkeye water.
Yep.
So, Doug, so that night when that drive shaft broke and come up through the car, tell us about that.
Well, we were out there racing, and we were leading, I do believe. Coming out of turn 4 there, I went through the water, buzzed the tires, and I felt it shake a little bit. And I thought, okay, I've lost drive shafts before.
Yeah.
And I rolled out of it and rolled back in it. I think that back was on the green flag lap. And I felt it shake a little bit. So I got out of it. I went through 1 and 2 nice and easy, and it felt decent. So I rolled in the gas again and felt pretty decent. When I went to pick the throttle back up, it just lit the tires, and it instantly bounced the tack up to $8,000, and I just heard it thudding through the car.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man.
And then I crossed the finish line there, and that's about where it exploded. And on the video, you could see my 3-piece driving suit, the top. Actually, you see a puff that looks like smoke coming out. When I rolled into the pits, I was sitting there naked. It took my T-shirt and my coat and just turned it to dust. That's how fast that drive shaft was spinning.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It just caught it and ripped it right off.
Yeah, when the drive shaft, when it hit the drive shaft loop, it bent at about 30 degrees, at about a foot back. And it came around, in a bigger circle. And when the U-joint broke, it took the end and made a hook out of it. And that's what was sawing through the car as it was spinning.
Oh, my.
And, it came all the way up through and went through, and it grabbed the seatbelt loop and wrapped the seatbelt loop down so tight it pulled me all the way over. And then it sawed up in my helmet and got me up to the chin and the chest right there.
Okay.
Wow.
So how long were you down with the injury, Doug?
I drove for Sean Sanders a year later,
Okay.
maybe a year and a half later, probably a full year.
All right.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
a neat deal. I still got U-joint needle bearings in my chest right here.
Oh,
It was
my.
spinning fast enough right here. They stuck in me like darts, and they're still in
Yeah.
there.
Wow.
Hey, maybe you got to take one of those cards with you when you go to the airport and fly because, you set off metal
I
detector.
was just going to say, explain that to them.
Oh, man,
There
look
you go.
at that.
Yeah. It was
Doug,
over 100, I don't know how many screws it was. It was well over 50 inch and 3/4
Holy
screws
cow.
and 3
And
titanium
you were back in the
rods.
car next year.
Yeah, I got some rods in there.
How does that feel?
You know what?
I mean, do you think about it? I mean, you got to think about it,
Oh,
right?
you know, I've always been a risk versus reward guy. I don't get real nervous.
I get that. Believe me.
Even in
I
this
get
car
that
here,
one.
we just had a U-joint go on week 1.
Okay.
And boy, I'll tell you, if you don't think, but I still got my hand down on the shifter going down the straightaway. You know, it's like, what's wrong with you? You know. But, yeah. You know, it was a fluke. People ask me all the time, "Do you worry about it?" If I do that again and that drive shaft gets me, that was God's way of getting me. You know, because I mean, man, that's so rare to happen anyhow. And the old car was a champion. You know how far back you sat in those? You were sitting right on the rear wheel anyway, so the yoke was right next to your hip.
Yeah.
There was just a lot of things that factored in.
You know, and I remember when they built those old champion cars, initially, they didn't even have a seat in them. They had an aluminum seat that was built into the interior.
Yeah.
And, if you wanted to throw a little padding in there to sit on, you could do that. But, boy, those champ cars were fast.
They were fast.
I mean, Ricky Wages won the 85 championship IMCA in one of those cars. So, they were a good car. But so, Doug, what led to that 20-year layoff you had?
I come back and I drove for Sean, and we won some races with him.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't the same. I mean, I had gotten divorced through that time.
Okay.
And I bought a Harley.
Right.
And everything just starts changing. So you're a single guy with a Harley and a boat, and all of a sudden there wasn't a lot of time for the racetrack anymore. And I had just kind of done it. I mean, I really was over it, and it almost feels guilty to say I didn't even miss it. I mean, I bet you I went to less than 5 stock car races the entire time I was out. And I could hear him from my house. I could hear him when I'm sitting on the river fishing, and it just
didn't bother you.
No, not a lick.
Now, Doug, you got 3 sons.
Yep.
Your 2 older sons were able to watch you in your prime, winning races.
Right.
Take the pictures. Your youngest son is how old now?
He's 6 years old.
Okay.
That's Caleb. Yep.
All right. And was that a driving factor in kind of getting back in, or?
Well, it was. We were out golfing one day, and we were golfing quite a lot. And my middle boy, Aaron, who was 27 at the time, he says, what really sucks? We get to be on all them checkered flag picks, and Caleb won't ever be in any. And I thought, hey, you know what? I can fix that.
Yeah.
Well, I was a little tougher than I thought fixing it, let me tell you. We got her done. So.
You know what? Those guys are fast out there
today,
they are. Doug.
And, that's the first thing I said when I did the prior interview prior to winning. We were asked, are you sure you can do it? And I said, I'm sure we'll get one, but by no means is it because lack of competition, man. These guys are good.
These guys are real good. I look at, up and down the line from the young guys like a Spencer Dirks and, on up to the seasoned veterans. When you see people out there that are struggling, that have been around racing a lot of years, it's tough. And technology has went through the roof.
Right.
And, being friends with Jeff Morris, I go over there, and now they got the spring smashers. They don't use the scales anymore, and, all the exotic shock packages they run. And I thought, my God, I'm glad that I raced when I raced, because it's just crazy.
Right. Yeah, I can tell you that you can tell how long the guy's been in racing or how old school he is, but if you use the scales or if you smash numbers.
Yeah. We had the old grain scales, and we thought we were on top of the world.
Yeah.
And so
that was technology.
And it all changed.
Yeah.
It was just amazing. I had said to Jeff Morris, it wasn't uncommon for a dominant driver to go out and pick off 25 feature wins a year. And I remember Jeff back in the day at East Molina, I was doing his website for him. And he'd, knock off 24, 26 features a year. But I told him, I said, I really don't see that happening around here because we got so many great drivers and so many great cars. I don't see the 26-win season coming. What do you think, Doug?
I think your mindset's right there, but Spencer Dirks and Bo North are making a run at that, aren't they?
Come on.
Woo!
Wow.
Yeah, they're hot.
The boys are hot right now.
It's like that Hawkeye 100 over the weekend. Spencer, he's got 3-4 feature wins already in that modified. And, I talked to him, and he talked about how, we got to get the late model rolling a little better. And I said, Spence, you never race it. I mean, when you bring it out once a week or, they run up at Liberty, we'll see them up there. I mean, you really got to, when you're running against the level of competition, they are, like a Ricky Thornton Jr. or Jimmy Owens or Kate Dillard or any of them. I mean, they're in those things, 4 or 5 days a week. And it's like, driving down to Hy-Vee and getting low for bread, when they climb in the wheel and get behind the wheel.
But I tell you what, he stepped up and had a showing on Friday.
Yeah.
Spencer was right up front and ran up front the entire race. So he did himself proud and did everybody that runs with him around here proud. He had a heck of a showing up there at the Hawkeye 100, the preliminary show.
Oh. So, Doug, we talked about, the low in your racing career. And what about the highs?
Oh,
I mean, the late model feature win, that had to be big.
that was probably the biggest one as far as nobody was more shocked than me.
Yeah.
But definitely the last one was really, it was really special. Getting
Yeah.
all the family out there and stuff like that.
I
So
bet.
It was awesome.
I bet. Man, that's great.
So how's your approach? So let's talk about, if we can for a second. So you had like a 20-year layoff. Just as a driver, and we talked about the technology a little bit, and I know we've only scratched the surface on the technology, but from a driver's standpoint, how is your approach different now than it was, say, 20 years ago?
When I first came back, I would tell you, not a lot's changed. You still go out there and wheel it. 2 years later, I'll tell you, it's changed a bunch. Set up suspension, things like that. I'm not the best driver out there, and we don't have the best equipment, but I'm really good at getting information.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that's keeping us moving right now. I mean, the technology has come a long ways, and obviously, it's no secret the rage guys have been on it. And just like all technology, though, the further it gets out there and the more people that get it, the more accessible it becomes.
Right.
We just changed some major things here for last week, and even though the car wasn't exactly right,
Yeah.
we found some tremendous traction.
Oh, man.
Pretty much mimicking what some other people are doing.
Yeah, right.
And with the help of some of the guys I race against. So.
Yeah.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
nice. It's nice that you shared this, especially with the amount of parity that there is with everybody being so close and the technology being so accessible to so many people. It's nice that you share it back and forth, and especially when you're trying to get the things to turn, which seems to be the kind of the Achilles heel of the modern cars, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. The sharing back and forth, I don't think they're getting a lot back. But
Doesn't everybody feel that way,
right.
though?
Yeah, it's just like anything. I mean, I'm sure if you had proprietary information, like as a chassis company, you're going to want to hang on to that as long as you can to get the most success that you can. But the really confident drivers that know they're fast, they'd rather just race your heads up anyway.
Man.
Well, technology only helps when you learn how to use it.
Exactly
That's
right.
And I mean, because believe me, I feel I get it.
Yeah.
And it's hard to keep up because I'm on the same platform trying to keep up with, and we have secrets, right? I mean, not secrets, but we have things that we do broadcasting that other people don't.
Yeah.
And if it's and things go wrong, man. I mean, just because the technology is out doesn't mean it's all going to work together sometimes, right?
That's right.
So there's definitely a learning curve for
The
sure.
worst thing you can do is take one piece of that puzzle and think you got the puzzle.
Yeah, that's right.
You better have all the pieces of them in the right spot.
Doug, you made a perfect comment because, I've said, I'm not going to mention any names. There's some top dollar teams out there that still struggle. And, my brothers asked me, what do you think's wrong, Shane? I says, you got to have all the pieces to the puzzle.
Yes.
Now, the piece of the puzzle might be, you're missing a tire guy, a chassis guy, a motor guy. There's a lot of components that put that car in victory lane. They look in victory lane, they see Doug Lenth, but there's so much behind the scenes that goes on
Right.
that a lot of people don't realize.
Well, and then you can have all the pieces of the puzzle. They better be the same car, better be the same driver, everything else.
Yeah, right.
People get real proprietary on spring rates or shocks, this and that. Well, that's you probably couldn't run if you knew all that anyway. You better have it all and get it in the right spot. And then you get in our car's in 2011. You know what I mean?
You know what? That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's just it.
And Eric Barnes, he's got an old car.
Yes, yeah. He's doing a lot more with his than we are with ours. And to us.
Yeah. Oh,
I always
man.
say there's no such thing as magic metal, but like I said, it's getting things to work where they're supposed to.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Very
So,
nice.
hey, let's talk about the night you were inducted into the Hall of Fame up at East Moline.
Yep.
I was up there that night, Doug, and you were very touched.
Yeah, very first time I've ever been tongue-tied in my life.
Yeah.
I can always talk.
I always thought you make good race announcer, and
Yeah.
then, you were just like tongue-tied.
Yes, I was. You know what? To hear it all read out and to be sitting there, and at that point in time, and after what we've been through, it was
Sure.
an emotional thing.
And, I looked up in the stands, and there sits your dad.
Oh, yeah.
And, I got to tell you, I'm an emotional guy, too. It's just who I am. That's how I'm built. And when you went up and handed your dad that plaque,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm just sitting there thinking,
It was
oh,
first
here we go.
class.
Here comes the tears.
Yeah.
And, it touched my heart.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I'll tell you something in a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. without
Since
a doubt.
I've been 15 years old, he's never missed a race in my life.
Oh,
except
my
for one
gosh.
time, and he just went on vacation last year, and he's still hearing about that. So
Yeah. Get on him.
Right.
Oh, man. So, something else I wanted to talk to you about is the night you finally picked up the win, Doug.
Yep.
I mean, did you feel like it finally paid off? We're finally getting this thing going in the right direction.
It had paid off long before that.
Yeah.
Just getting the kids out there with my little guy and my grandkids and my son and my dad. And I mean, we go down to any racetrack, we've got 15 to 20 people in our pit area. Awesome. Around the enclosed trailer, there's food. When you get that set up, I mean, you've already won.
You have, really.
But it was definitely the icing on the cake. we were getting closer and closer. You know, it was a lot of opportunity that night too. You know, I say that, I guess, you know, we were back to 6th there for a while. It was our night.
Yeah, it was your night. And, you know, I was kind of laughing because, you know, I thought you were going to knock that wall down in 1 and 2. You're running. There was no more cushion, you know.
No.
I mean, you were using the wall to turn the car. But down in 3 and 4, the line you had was, you know, taking her down the low groove. And man, you were coming off turn 4 like a rocket.
Yeah, and we were actually struggling down there. And we moved up about 2 foot, and that's probably the only thing that saved us there a little bit. You know, and of course, then when you can protect the top going in, makes it tough. Even though Eric Burns tried taking that one too.
Yeah, you know, you had Brendan Durbin right back there, and you had Eric Barnes, and them guys were on you. But you were, you know, that forward drive, you'd actually pull them a little bit going down the straightaway.
Well, I think it was Mr. Jeffries said during the commentary on the Dunright cast there, you know, he'd made a comment one time that Brandon got through better than I did. The next time that I did, that's what it really was, is just who could get through there as clean as you could.
Yeah.
You know, without scrubbing off too much speed. And there was a time or two where Brandon tried a little low, and if I'd have hit the wall that time, it would have been a different outcome, you know. And then there was times where I'd get through there really clean, and he'd be in the wrong spot again, you know. And it just played out that way. Like I said, it was an opportunity thing, and a lot of luck.
You know, so Doug, your son Caleb, man, when you pulled down there in Victory Lane, you know, and they were
he was pumped.
He was pumped. You got him up there on the roof, and I mean, he was on top of the world. That was everything to him.
I don't know who was more excited, him or my 30-year-old son, because he about mowed me down coming across that infield.
That is awesome.
You know, there's nothing better. That's awesome. Hey, we want to let you people out there know that if you got any questions for Doug or any one of us here at the studio, you know, where you got to type in the questions. Do we have anything yet, Pat?
We sure do. Shout out to Nick Jansen. He said he's proud to be a sponsor
new on board this year. We're happy to have him.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
me too.
Thank you for joining in.
Thank you.
Done right.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Guys, please,
Yes, sir.
please comment.
And you're telling
please
me
like and comment, and also please like and share. Make sure that you post and share the videos. It helps us and helps all of us.
Definitely.
So this show we're doing right now, you know, if you share that thing, I mean, share it on your page. I know I've got the Hawkeye Raceway Memories page. You know, I always share the show on that. I share it on my own page. I've got about 3,000 friends. Nice. And not really my friends, but they want to see what's going on, so they just go ahead and, you know, they're on my page, and they really enjoy all the racing stuff. And I always tell people, when you get on my page, you're going to see 3 things. You're going to see racing, you're going to see my family, and you're going to see stuff about Christ. So that's just kind of a, let you know, hey, that's what's going to be on there, man. But a lot of racing.
That's right. That's right. You know, I love to say smash that like button.
Yeah.
I love to say that.
Yeah.
I like
It makes me feel young. I'm not. Don't get me wrong, but it makes me feel like it is.
Hey, Doug, so you were the number 5L. Was that 5 length, and where'd the 5 come from?
Yeah, well, we've always liked the number 3.
Yeah.
We've raced dirt bikes our whole lives, so I was never really loyal to any particular number.
Okay.
You know, we won a couple championships with number 16, and I didn't even put that on any race cars. And
Yeah.
first race car I bought was a street stock and it had 41 on it.
Right, I
The guy
remember
had already
that.
raced it.
Yeah.
We drove that a few times and blew it up, bought an open wheel, and that had a 5 on it that Vanderhayden owned. So that's where
Right.
the 5
Okay.
comes from.
There's where it come from.
Really?
And I
All
bought another
right.
late model that had 41 on it, so I just ran that. I mean, it's there's no rhyme or reason to it other than the 3. We like the 3.
Yeah. And on Sean Sanders' car, you had the 3 on there.
Sean was always liking that number 2. We used to butt heads about that.
Oh, that's right.
And then Randy drove for him, and Randy was 3. You know, so that was where that all come from.
Now the 313. What's the meaning behind that?
Yes, my dad's brother, my uncle Don, used to race years ago.
All right,
figure
now,
8.
Now give me the name, Doug Lenth.
Don Lenth, yep.
Yeah.
He was
the king.
He was a good figure 8
He was
driver.
a
Won a
hell
lot
of
of
a figure 8
championships, a
driver.
lot of races, things like that, and he was a great uncle.
Yeah.
He passed away last year,
Yeah.
so we thought we better put him on there somewhere.
Well, you know, it was kind of funny. I remember when you were racing back in the early days, you know, I said something to the effect of, I'm announcing up at East Moline, and I said, I thought Doug Lenth was your dad, and you and I did not know each other like we knew each other now. And your mom come down, and she was laughing. She said, no, that's
Yeah,
not
that'd have
his
been a
dad.
problem
It's-
if he
yeah,
was.
Right. Yeah, so I thought, hey, I don't want to get in any fights here. I don't know anything you don't know. It's just, you know, but yeah, he had an orange and white car.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, number 13.
Yep.
And, you know, the guy was one of the top drivers. And so all the years that Mom and Dad took us up there, Dad owned cars. He drove.
Right.
Dad was, you know, always one of those guys that, you know, I love him. He was middle of the pack guy. He just wasn't real aggressive. But, boy, when he put Bob Tolan in the car, Dan the Rebel Kennedy, some of those drivers, they were drivers that would run with Doug Lenth.
Right. That's his grandson that's out there in the 115 car.
Is it really? Oh,
Yeah,
man, that's
Jake.
so awesome. I like that.
Yeah. Jake's got a little ways to go to be where Don was. The finish line would be a good start.
You know what?
He's not going to like that.
You almost want to sit down and talk to him and just say, and you know, this is constructive criticism, and it's coming from an old guy who's washed up, so you don't even have to listen to it. But you got to go slow to go fast.
You do.
And he drives every lap at times like his hair's on fire and it's a white flag.
Well, he does have red hair.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. So
Yeah.
it's like, young man, slow down.
Yeah.
Because you got to make that checkered flag. There's only one flag that counts.
And that's the first thing I said the first time he drove. I'm like, well, you can wheel a race car.
Yeah.
Just we'll have a race car to get to the end. You'll be all right.
You know it. You know, he you could see that he's not scared. He's got the talent. Now he just needs the wisdom and the knowledge and just dial her backwards a little bit.
Right.
I mean, you know, Doug,
I could blow your mind and tell you that kid's been racing with one wheel front brake since he started.
are you kidding
No,
me?
and for a safety factor, I've been busting his butt to get after it. We're getting it better.
Who needs brakes, man?
Yeah, evidently he does not.
He doesn't use them
No.
anyway? Is that what you're
That might
saying?
be a little bit of a stretch, but not
Yeah.
far, believe me.
Yeah, that's crazy. So tell me, Doug, favorite racetracks?
All of them.
Okay.
Yep, I love to be behind the wheel.
Quarter mile, half mile?
I love the half mile. I like them all. I really don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to race in your backyard, I'd come do it. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you know how it is. You roll up over that hump, and I was trying to explain that to Jake before he went up for the first time. I said, enjoy
Yeah.
that, because every time you do it, you're going to be like, whoa.
Yeah.
Nice.
You know, it's something special about, you know, when you get on that racetrack, you know, you get in a zone and you're really, you know, it's showtime. You're all race and there's no yucking it up or anything like that. You're out there to put on a show.
That's right.
I really enjoy the traveling, you know, a little bit. We don't do much of it anymore, but going to a new place is always fun. You get everything's brand new and fresh, and it's just a new experience trying to figure out where the line is and things like it's. I always enjoy when you pull up somewhere new and you look at it and like, oh, okay, this is where I'm going to run. Then you get out there and it's not even close.
This ain't working so
I
much,
get in
is
line.
it? You know, and Pat, back in the 80s, you ran World Outlaw Tour for a couple
That's
of years. I mean, you guys were at a different track, you know, a couple days a week. And
Yep, almost every night, and that's the hard part. And speaking of that, it's that's a challenge, especially when you're racing against. You come into a place where everybody that you're racing against has experience on the track, and you don't.
yeah.
And so they know the line, they know the groove, they know what's going to happen, they know what gear to run or what shock package to put in and stuff like that. And so it's hard for that not to be a disadvantage. So if you can come in and get up on the wheel and be competitive against the local guys that are fast there, I mean, that's definitely a feather in your cap without a doubt.
First time we ever went down to Canton, Randy Wages come up to me, and Randy taught me a lot.
Yeah.
To say we weren't friends or we're friends, I don't know, but he taught me a lot.
Yeah.
He come up to me and I said, we were down there for some special, and I said, where most people run down here? And he says, well, he said, just watch the leader. Two things: watch the leader and get out of my way.
And don't hit the wall in turn
Just
4.
get out of my
that'd be
way.
That's right.
You
Oh,
know,
I love
remember,
that track though. That track is fun. down
It's
there.
just crazy.
Yeah.
The
Big high
night
bank.
that Randy had his injury, Dave Cook was flagging East Moline. I was announcing up there, and we were down the infield. And man, when that throttle hung wide open, you know, it was a dark time. And you know, I prayed for him. I'm glad that you know, the good Lord said, "Hey, you got something left to do on Earth."
Yeah.
So, you know, he's still here. But I'm up at the racetrack when I promoted in 2011, and I looked down the pit area, and some guy's down there riding a bike around. And I went down the pits, and it was Randy Wages. And I said, "Randy, what are you doing down here?" And he said, "You know, I don't live too far from here, and I just there's something about this track makes me feel good." He said, "I like riding a bike around here and just being around the racetrack." And I
He's
said,
probably just won 3 races over at the BMX track.
right.
Because the guy won everything.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
So he says, you know, I said, but I don't see you at the races every week. And he said, you know, I just don't have the extra money. And so I took him down to the track office, and I gave him a season pass. And I said, be my guest. Now, everybody that knows the Davis boys and the Wages boys, I mean, we're at each other's
Right.
throat every
Yeah,
week.
I was around for some of that.
Yeah, but you know who he sat with every week out in the grandstands? My brother Sam.
There you
Sat right next to him.
Yeah.
There you go.
And I thought, my God, here you are. You know, you were, you know, these fierce foes on a racetrack, and then all of a sudden, sitting out at the grandstands, watching some great racing there.
I think it's a little bit of
Speedway.
I don't want to racing maturity. I don't know. When I left the racetrack, we were still winning races with Sean. The first car I drove after I got hurt was when Randy got hurt in.
Yeah.
I drove that for Sean.
Oh, that was fast.
Yeah, we had good luck in that car.
Yeah.
But throwing wrenches, competitive, don't talk to me when I'm doing things, stuff like that. That's not how I enjoy racing anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I enjoy being there. I'm enjoying the experience. And some of the people that I used to butt heads with a lot, I'm really good friends with now. So
That's
I think,
nice.
you know, it just comes full circle a little
Yeah.
bit. You're watching all the young kids butt heads. It's like, well, it's going to be what it's going to be anyway. So I guess you learn to, you know, you can stand there and drink a beer and talk just like we are. And then when you're out on the racetrack, it's still take no quarter, give no quarter. You know,
Right.
but when you're a little younger, a little hotter headed, it ain't quite like that.
That's right. Hey, I want to say for racing results, I want you to go to IowaRacingNews.com. They've got all the results for racing here in the Quad Cities and the surrounding areas. We're going to cover results like we had in the past. We've got a lot of people that are doing that right now. And so we just want to steer you over to IowaRacingNews.com. And had a lot of great racing over the weekend. Man, Doug, Matt Ryan, he was on a roll. He had 4 in a row.
That's right.
3 in a row going into Davenport Friday night. Saturday night, he went down to 34 Raceway Park, got his 4th win. But, man, when you can get 4 in a row, Doug, you're doing something.
Yes, you are. You know that. He pits right by us at East Moline. I was hoping some of that luck would
Hey, it rubbed off you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was.
No, he's had a great run, and they're always fast.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's that class, you know, you see people come into town or drop in and try and race with them and this and that. Them guys are good at what they do, too. You know, at no time is that a gimme anywhere, you know.
Justin
and Matt's
Kai,
one of
Matt
them guys
Ryan.
is fast. Yes.
Yeah. You know what blows me away is Matt Ryan's a school teacher at a Catholic school.
Yeah.
You know, and here he's this fierce competitor out on the racetrack. And then, you know, I don't know, he's told me what great kids he teaches. But I think, man, then he's just Mr. Ryan when he's at the racetrack. I mean,
Nice.
Very
nice.
Kind of a double life to live there.
You know what? That would be nice, though, to have all summer off and get to race.
Yeah, I like that.
Work all winter and race all summer. It sounds like
should
an
have been
ideal
teachers.
job. I knew a couple of racers that were teachers back in the
Yeah.
day. Grew up.
And Sheila Ryan, I think she taught like elementary school. And, you know, she's up there in the stands and she's, you know, all Ryan. And so.
Very nice.
And so, Doug, what are you doing these days?
I'm working for Centennial Home Improvement over here.
Okay.
Yep. With being ill, you know, I wasn't able to go full time. And Mark and Jamie Preston over at Fant, they were great to me. It was just one of them deals where it's just they needed a full time guy and it just wasn't working out. So they go on disability, and we were getting close to that. And I ended up, a good buddy of mine, Mark Richardson, owns Centennial, and he called me up. And we sat and talked and had lunch one day. And so now I'm just, I don't want to say part time, but putting some hours in over there and making some money. And
Good.
Hey, guys, I want to give a shout out to Dennis Williamson, who said, great show, guys.
Dennis Williamson, you remember him, number 70 out there at Hawkeye Raceway.
Yes, I do.
Ran in
Every
late
time.
model. I remember when he went from street stock to late model. You know, he just kind of, we had a little talk, and he felt like maybe he got in over his head. And I thought, man, you're doing great out there. Just
yeah.
keep the hammer down and make it happen. But good guy. So, Doug, speaking of your health, how you feeling these days?
I'm back doing treatment again. I'm on week 2 of 6.
Okay,
It's getting a little taxing, but doing all right. You know, I'm hanging in there and maintaining, I guess.
good.
I don't know what the good Lord has in store for me, but we're just riding along.
He's got a plan, brother.
I can tell you, I don't know if it's the chemotherapy or the being 51 years old, but it didn't used to be a job to get in and out of the car. It sure is now. Especially after the race. They get the car up on the air jack before I get out. I'm in there for a while. I can't get down.
Hey, breather.
Pull it down. I got to get out. I got to get out. I'll tell you what, I was torquing heads on the 360 of the sprint car. First time ever, kind of the same thing. First time ever, I get home and I'm like, God, my wrist is stiff. And the next day I'm like this, walking around the house like, oh, what happened? I got old all of a sudden.
Oh, man.
So
I have to drive past Brandon Durbin's pit at East Moline. He always gives me a hard time pointing at his watch because I'm headed up so he holds his hands up in the air. It's like, it takes me that long to get my seatbelt and stuff. I'll be late.
You know, I remember Herschel Roberts, the last couple of years he ran. I was just amazed that I used to tell Kenny Roberts that he was the healthiest looking sick man that I knew. And, that's the way Herschel was. And I remember in 2011 when I was up there at East Moline, I'm down at my track office, and in walks Herschel, and he, and I'm just sitting there praying for the guy and, hoping that, the good Lord brings peace and comfort into the family's life. And Herschel comes in, and it's the same old Herschel. He goes, hey, what can I do for you, Shane? And and I'm thinking, me?
Right.
I should be asking you that. But he was all about, he wanted to buy pit passes for everybody on the crew. I mean, if they had like a dozen people that year helping them out in a race car. So he bought everybody's pit pass for the season.
Wow.
And then want to know, hey, how can I help you guys out? And I admired that in Herschel, and so he was a very honorable man. Man, that guy got along with everybody, and now here, man, Kenny out there when they went to the Lucas Oil Series. Doug,
Wow.
I thought, I'm just being realistic. I'm saying, man, you're moving up into the big leagues, boys, and yet Jeremiah goes out and wins the national or wins the championship.
I've only raced with Jeremiah a few times, but I've seen him race a bunch. The guy's obviously a talent. Kenny and you guys, I mean, the whole operation's a top-notch setup. I'm not surprised the results came.
Yeah.
But, wow, they got her clicking. That's
and
for
Garrett
sure.
Albertson, I mean, that guy, he climbs behind the wheel of that thing, and all of a sudden they got a third up at Stewart, Iowa this year. And
You have to take one car and win a championship, and then to have a second car, and then to have that one be as successful as far as finish-wise. I mean, that's an impressive feat.
It is.
It speaks to the equipment and the work that goes into the program.
They all work very well together. I've had the honor and the privilege to hang out with them quite a bit, and I'll tell you, they're top notch all the way. And they get along. I mean, I get that. Everybody's got their scraps, I guess, right?
Right. Yeah.
Or whatever. But I don't see it there. I've never really seen anything other than teamwork and just top
Kenny
line.
helps me out a lot, and he, I think he's that way for everybody. I think he just wants to help, and I think
why
that
he
as a
is.
car
For sure.
owner, that's probably
No doubt
a great
about it.
attribute to have.
yeah,
I mean, I know 4 or 5 guys that I race with every weekend that he has input with what they're doing, or has had input with them, and for a guy to be at that level and have them cars, and I just think he loves the sport and loves to help people, and
Well, and I think if you look at even at the results of the Hawkeye 100, the top 3, the entire podium was all Illinois drivers.
I mean, can you believe that?
That's a testament to
yeah, I can. I
the
race them
level of
every week, and they beat. I race with them. They're all pretty good around
yeah,
here.
right.
I mean,
It's always been that way, if you remember right.
You're right.
Stacked.
It's really is, man. You go back to the dark ages and the World 100, and it was people right here in the Midwest that grew up racing dirt tracks around here that found success. And then when you look at IMCA and USAC and the whole town of Keokuk, I think had a race car at one time, and you had Lem Blankenship, Gordy Blankenship, Don White. In their 50s, 60s, 70s, they had they were dominant. They were from our area. We have always had. It's just great training grounds for race drivers. Right.
That's
here.
right. Yeah, Mel Kenyon. A lot of people don't realize that Mel Kenyon, the Hall of Fame midget drivers from here in Davenport. So was Mark and Dave Ray, and then their kids.
Right.
Their kids, Davey Stillrun, actually just won a feature as first sprint feature of the year. He won, I think it was Saturday night down in Bloomington, Indiana.
Wow. Something.
So
I
he's
always
still
talked
hitting
about
it.
how tough it was back when I raced.
Yeah.
Lots back, the old guy talking like Rick and Randy Wages, Rick and Ray Cox,
Yeah.
Davis Clark, blah blah blah. Leland Bushman, Carl Bloom. Go jump the name on feature today. It's not any easier.
You know what? It ain't
It's the
any
cream of the
easier,
crop
my
around here.
God.
It always has been. For the
Well,
most
back in my day.
Yeah.
Yeah, back in the Stone Age.
That's right.
Pretty sure
That's
if you
right.
can win races from the Quad Cities, you can about win them anywhere.
We always said that. When you looked at, I'm rolling the clock back, so we're going to get in the hot tub time machine and go back to the 80s. And when you look at Mike Cothran, national champion in IMCA modifieds, Dale Fishline, Rick Wages, myself. I mean, these are all, we dominated racing and modified for a lot of years, the guys right here. And it was pretty amazing. And now here IMCA Modified, it's the largest sanctioning body in the United States of America. I mean, over everybody else. So, hey, Doug, I wanted to ask you, too, if we could give you a magic wand, is there anything you would change about racing today? And I'm talking about anything. The race divisions, the way they put on the show, what the promoter does. Is there anything you'd like to see different?
Oh, I'm a firm believer that things evolve the way they do to get to where they're at. And if you change one thing, you'd change the whole program. Safety. It'd be nice if, our sport didn't have tragedy from NASCAR all the way down to horse owners. But for the most part, I would say, I think the sport's evolved to be a great sport to where it's at, and we've all watched NASCAR kind of take a turn down a little bit, and you've watched the dirt world take off a little bit. And I think it's just because we're coming into it and appreciating it. And,
Right.
So.
Yeah, one of the nice things about dirt track racing is, if somebody wants to come down in the, the pit area and they're a big Doug Lenth fan, they can walk up, get your autograph, and you're going to talk to them like they're, a close friend. And we don't have that access to the Cup guys anymore like we used to have.
Most people must not know where I've hit.
So, Doug, if you talking about the Magic Wand, what's on your bucket list of tracks that you haven't raced yet? Do you have a bucket list of places
my
that you would
bucket
like
list
to go?
is it's done.
Yeah.
But we went down to Macon. I've never been there, Boy, that was a blast.
And
Nice.
that
I mean, we left there with no
mighty
race
Macon.
car, but we had a blast.
Yeah. Down there, if you survive the night, you've won.
Yeah.
And that track is so tight, it's banked, it's, you almost got to bank or rough somebody up to get around them, and that's a track that everybody should have to run at once.
Yeah, it was
in their
funny
life.
because we went down there with an IMCA car, IMCA legal modified, and we raced with the UMP guys. We were too late to time trial. We went out in the heat race, started last, and was getting pulled by the whole field and lost by a straightaway in the heat. The feature, we started 22nd. We were up to about passing for 6th or 5th. And the guy in front of him turned sideways, and I turned sideways, and they just destroyed the race car.
Oh.
And you ask any one of my crew guys what their favorite race was or where they want to go back to, and that's it. It's
Macon.
like, we didn't have that very good of a night.
Yeah, we had to do a lot of work that night.
Yeah.
Yeah, funny story. I've always heard about Macon. And the first time I ever saw the joint was in a sprint car. We were running the sprint car. It was an all-star sprint car show. And we were supposed to go, I think it was somewhere up in Wisconsin, and instead we diverted and ended up going down to Macon. So
Yeah. I
I came up over the banking. Well, first of all, from the pit area, you know how high banked it is.
Yeah.
And it's like, that cannot be the far end of the track. It's right there. There got to be something wrong until I came up over the banking. That was the first time I ever saw it. And I said, we're going to race here?
Pat, I did the same thing. I got out there in a modified, and I'm like, wasn't even worried about that. I'm like, they're going to run sprint cars here? I want to see this. Next thing you know, you're 3 wide going around that little place.
Right.
And there was room.
And I heard that too. And when somebody told me they run late models there, I'm like, there's got to be like a second track in Macon, because there's no way that. But people would say the same thing about sprint cars.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, and Shane, you and I were talking earlier about the width of the racetrack. One of the beauties to Macon is that the racing surface is so wide that you can, but it's so short, you can almost run a sprint car. You can almost run an oval the wrong way. If you go out on the straightaways and down in the corners, you could almost you'd run that thing kind of however you want.
Even in the modified, it gets pretty close when you're running the bottom. You're swinging way out there. And
I bet it's a fun little joint.
it was 3 lanes wide. I used all 3 of them the whole time.
I got to tell you, too, I seen Jim Sandusky had the old school throwback paint scheme on his car.
Yeah.
And I remember when he was running late model, he had that Sunkiss for a sponsor.
Oh, yeah.
And literally, if you went down the pits after the races back then, they got all the Sunkiss pop you could drink. Go down there and get your free can. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed seeing that one on the car, 1J, I think Jim runs, and seeing that Sunkiss logo on the side of it. It's just
I remember the
brought back a lot
Sandusky's,
of fond
good
memories.
Yep, it's nice, and Jim was just running good Sunday night. We get out there and seeing all these new faces and young guys and grandkids of the guys that used to race.
Yeah, right.
And you got guys like Sandusky and Ray Cox, and they're just as
come
fast
on.
as ever. And I'm like, God, these old guys are still out here. And it's like, I used to race with them.
Yeah,
you're,
you're one of the old guys, Doug. You're there.
Yeah.
But isn't that really cool though, that you have the like yourself too, the guys that have the history in the sport, and so it's not a case of it's all young blood. So it's not like USAC midget racing. The average age is really young, but you have the mixture of you have those classic guys that forever racing against the young blood, and so you can compare. It'd be like in basketball. It'd be like a Michael Jordan playing against LeBron.
You're right. You get to see it live.
So you don't have the people that say, yeah, well, but LeBron could take Michael Jordan because we're getting it now.
Yeah.
And I can't encourage people enough to get out and take advantage of that and come to the races on Sunday and
So
experience firsthand.
you've been racing. A lot of you guys have been at the dirt tracks most of your life, right?
Right.
So how do we bring that back? Because I'm a late bloomer. I 5 or 6 years ago probably. Okay, but I've noticed just in the last 5 or 6 years that I'd like to see more people at the stands. Now, I'd like to see more people at the track.
What do you think, Doug?
I think things ebb and flow a little bit. I think the sport's definitely growing. I mean, go to a racetrack at Davenport recently and look at the car count. I can tell you how it's going to grow a little bit. I got my 6-year-old. I got Eli as Jake Lenth's boy, and then my stepson Wyatt. And these guys get together, and they'll jack the quad up, and they're laying under this little battery-powered quad, and 2 of them are trying to pull a wheel off.
Nice.
Or they got a tire that we've already broke down. They got tire tools. They don't know what to do with them.
Yeah.
Those are kids that are going to be sitting in race cars at the racetrack, and if they don't, they're going to go watch. So I think that's probably how it goes.
Here's what was amazing. Last year, we started the season off with COVID. We couldn't have everybody in the stands. And Kelly made the investment and took the jump and brought the Done Right brand name over there and started videoing the races. And all of a sudden, we opened, dirt track racing up to a whole new world. All of a sudden, we had people, at one point, we had 24 states, Canada, Mexico, and Germany. And not that those people were going to be sitting in the stands on Friday night, but they were still valid fans that paid to watch the races, and the promoter got a piece of that. And, you know, it opened up a whole new venue to people that could watch their track racing. I mean, what do you think, Doug?
I can tell you, just back to like what these guys are doing. I put Doung right on our car this year, and happy to have him on board. And that was something I wanted to do. We come from the dirt bike world, and everything is so blown up, you know, this and that. And in the race cars, it is too, but not at the local level. And we always used to say, we used to video run races then, and we still do now, so we can go home and watch them. And I actually use Doung Right's footage, and then I use our footage so I can compare, so you can get different looks.
Right.
It revolutionizes things. My daughter-in-law, who has 3 grandbabies at home, Brooke, she sits at home and watches it live while my son's at the racetrack with us. So it ties them together a little bit as a family, too. And that's something you might not see if you weren't a part of. But she actually calls during the race or will text and talk, you know. And if this was before you guys started doing that, that wouldn't have happened.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
So.
Well, yeah, thank you for that. And appreciate putting on a car, too. I really appreciate that.
We're happy to promote.
Yeah, and you know, it was last year was a rough year, so but you know, I mean, it worked out, and I'm trying to figure out how to let everybody kind of win a little bit, right?
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of challenges in my world too, right? Internet is going through the roof.
Yeah.
This equipment is not cheap. This equipment, when you put it together, you get one thing, right? One little thing that could take just like anything else, I guess, right? But there's a lot more to it than I thought. I mean, I love the challenge.
Right.
I love the people. I love the coverage. I love, and I don't know if anybody knows, and this is, I want to let everybody know that part of our thing that we do is for $15 a month, these racers, these drivers can get the video on demand, and you can watch all of our stuff for $15 a month. That's all of it, just not live. So you can. And
Just
another
not live,
thing,
yeah.
and here's another thing that we're trying to add. Now we just started. I just hired a bunch of people, and I have a great team, guys, and you guys included.
We know that,
and I really have some really rock stars that have come on board with us. There are going to be some challenges, of course, because we're trying to push the envelope, right?
Sure.
I'm not really trying to compete with anybody but myself. But that being said, we are going to start doing some things differently. Well, number one, I've mentioned it, and I'm going to go ahead and make it real. So I'm looking for more camera operators. I'm looking for some kids that are maybe into this in high school, college, whatever, for production. But I want to start doing some solo shot stuff too while we're there, because I want to train my camera guys, and that'd be a great way to train my camera guys. Is that you just focus on this one car. I also have about 6 GoPros.
Nice.
That I want to add that to the mix. So not only we're going to start doing solo shots of the drivers, but I'll also give you a GoPro that you can put in your car. Maybe you want to put it on your feet. Maybe you want it. So we'll be able to get that live footage so you can see the car going around the track. Plus you'll be able to see the GoPro footage from wherever you want. So that's just a couple of the things that I want to start bringing to the table. And I want to say I appreciate all the patience out there, because, man, I'll tell you, Shane, 2 weeks ago before our first race, I didn't have a guy. I didn't have a guy for the second.
Right.
Okay. I was fortunate enough to have Ryan from Advantage Racing come down and do Davenport.
Man, what a great job.
Right. And in that, 3 days or whatever that we had, I found a guy, and now he's running his own show. So I'm really excited about who we got working for us. It's going to be a minute, but you guys, hopefully, there's going to be lots of things. And I want input. I want to know how we can make this show better. I want to know how, if we need to add, another show or something to get some more results. I just don't want to eat the whole show with results. I want to have. Sure. I want to be able to bring in cool guests and get some stories. I want to hear stories.
And here's one of the things that you bring up that Kelly, and I'll just be real short. There's a lot of shows out there where you can get. They're just results driven, and so we wanted to do something a little different. So the guest we have, like with you today, Doug, we'll make the show all about that day's guests, and not just kind of regurgitate what everybody's already seen. Because, in today's world, the guys are literally on my race pass, the night of the races, and they're looking to see who won, got second, third, and, all that technology is available to you. But, Kelly, I want to say to you, you talked about, hey, you had some bumps in the roads. Kelly, your business is just like building and driving a race car.
Yes,
I mean,
it
Doug,
does.
we don't get it right every night.
Nope.
I mean, hey, I hit the National Anthem button 2 weeks ago and it didn't
That
play.
was amazing.
So, hey, stuff happens.
Did you
And
sing it?
I sang it, Doug, and I'm going to tell you what.
Can you believe that?
I've
That was
never got
awesome.
scared.
Did you really?
Driving a race car.
was
I
kidding.
did.
Yeah,
Good
no, he
for
was
you.
on,
And
he
again,
actually
so
got interviewed on Channel 4.
yeah, so
Awesome.
I sit there and I'm like, I hit it again. It didn't play. Now I've already said we'd like to ask that you all rise for the playing of the National Anthem. People are up, pace trucks out there, the American flag, and I hit the button. It doesn't go. And now I never got nervous racing. Don't care where we went, who we
neither.
run against. But man, that National Anthem, it didn't play. And I just said to myself, okay, we got to roll. So I told the people out in the stands, don't leave, please don't leave. And that song has, a lot of top, highs and lows. So I just rolled with it. And I thought, man, I say a little driver prayer before the races every week. And last week when I said my driver prayer, I said, and Lord, please let the National Anthem play tonight. And it played. He answered my prayers.
Yes, you did. Kelly, did you ever plug that
He
speaker
hit
back
it
in?
out of the park. Yeah.
What's
It was
that?
unplugged.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
Yeah, that was Kelly.
Right, that
Yeah,
was
my
me.
good
I see
friend
him tinkling
Kelly.
with it a half hour before you push that button.
Well, one thing I would like to add to that, though, Kelly, is in all to all race fans out there listening, local and otherwise, we are so fortunate to have a guy like this that is broadcasting not just the big shows, not just the big sexy, when the big traveling guys come into town, but weekly racing at places like East Moline and Donaldson and Burlington. That's invaluable, and I would encourage the racers, fans to like and share that, because that helps our sport
That's the
grow.
best way to help us, man.
That
It is
helps
to
our
get-
sport
to
grow.
get it. And we're almost at 10,000 followers, which is
Right.
mind blowing to
Yeah.
me.
It's just amazing.
It's
And it will
mind-blowing.
help the racers because
Absolutely.
that's marketability to sponsors.
And I'm here
That's
to help,
exposure.
man. That's my whole
That's what
goal.
we're
I
trying
want to
to
help
do.
the tracks out. I want to help the fans out. I want everybody to, that's
right.
why I'm asking how do we get people to the track? I mean, I would.
Kelly, when we went out and we did the show 3 days in a row, we did you did Kenny Roberts, we did Morris, we did Webb, but we literally had like 30,000 hits in 3 days. That was to start 3 days, not where we're at today. And recently, the Webb video that's out there on GaryWebbRacing.com celebrating his 50th anniversary, 73,000 views. I mean, that just blows my
that's
mind.
It goes to. It speaks to when we first started racing, we raced 4 nights a week because we couldn't get enough of it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, those nights, the 3 nights that you're off, you're done racing until it's time to go back. First of all, the done right thing. For $15, you can't buy a better tool to tune your race car with.
Oh,
I
that's
mean,
right.
you can watch footage after footage, and we do our own videos, but I use that religiously. And sometimes I just sit down and watch it and drink a beer.
Oh yeah.
I enjoy the heck out of it. But it all goes together. And I mean, the 3 nights you weren't racing, you had no way to get to it. Like I said, that night you can crack a beer and sit down and look at it and go right back to the racetrack. And that was never a thing before. So it's pretty awesome.
And I also, a quick shout out to all the promoters that I work with, Donaldson 34 Raceway, Davenport, Dubuque, because I get that. I want people at the track too, and I want to be very clear on that. I'm not trying to take everything. I don't want everything. I'm just trying to help bring
Just another
everybody
venue.
up.
Without a doubt.
I know a way you could spike your viewers pretty quick. I think somebody commented on there, maybe put one of them GoPros on Spencer Dirk's left rear suspension for a night.
Hey, I like that.
I'll bet the
We'll
likes
probably-
would jump
That's
quite a
right.
bit.
People buy that.
Yep, that would be a great one. Yeah, and I would absolutely encourage race fans, because the accessibility of the racing, and I'll give you an example. I watched on a streaming app. I got to watch 8 different wing sprint car races from around the country on one night.
Crazy.
And it went from coast to coast. I ended in California and I started in eastern Pennsylvania.
Scott Durbin
Yeah, Scott Durbin's on.
has
Nice.
just said, watch that Doug Lenth guy when he leaves his studio. So I don't know what that's all about, Doug. But,
I kinda do.
We're gonna have to talk to Scott about that and find out what that was all about.
Oh yeah, these guys are all proud of their race cars and their teams and stuff, and they got their stickers on their windows. I've been known to tag a few people with the 313 stickers. here
Is
and
that
there.
what it is? Okay, nothing wrong with
Probably why
that.
you walked in late. We probably better all check our cars.
Boat or lawnmower, I don't know how many I got with me, but you're in trouble.
Oh my God, that's
So I'm going to
funny.
be Googling a 313 area code later, be like, 313, where did that come from?
Yeah, well, that's good.
That's awesome.
Hey, so favorite movie, favorite band. I mean, when I went to the races to get fired up, I listened to music. Did you ever do anything like that, Doug?
No. It's funny you said that earlier. You know, not many people are like what you were saying as far as not getting nervous. I'm one of them.
Yeah.
I don't get nerves. I don't mind restarts. I like to be in the front. I don't mind. You know, I just wired a little different. And evidently, you are too, and I didn't know that. I can get myself motivated. I don't get rattled, but I don't use music. I don't have, you know, Tombstone sitting right there on the wall. That's one of my favorite movies. But
Mine too.
I don't watch a ton of TV. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on up here, and a lot more room for anything else.
Yeah, that's right. You know, I
Very
remember back in the day when old Dan and I were running the national series, and you know, we were sitting up in Mason City, Iowa one night, and we're waiting for our qualifier to roll around. But I would get so relaxed in the cockpit of that car, I'd just about fall asleep.
I've dozed off at East Wayne.
I've done that. And so, man, I'm heading down the, we're up Mason City, and that was a half-mile track, and we're going down a backstretch, you know, yellow lights out, and I'm reaching up inside my helmet. I'm trying to slap myself, pinch myself, because I got too relaxed. I'm like, man, it's going to be showtime, and you're ready to go to bed. But the point is like Doug, man, I never got intimidated or didn't have any fear. It just never entered my mind.
I know some national caliber dirt bike riders, some top-notch stock car guys that some of them have to go vomit, some of them have to go to the bathroom.
Ain't that
you know,
crazy?
And they're just as nervous as can be until the green light goes on, until the flag drops or whatever, you know. I've often wondered, do we not just handle it different and not recognize it what it is? Yeah. But I do not get nervous. I mean, I get amped up. I get on the back street doing the same thing. I'm looking at the people over there and the pit guys going, well, I got my shield up, you know, and then about 10 feet before that corner, you pop that shield down. It's time to go to work.
Nice. It's showtime.
So, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's good.
Yep.
And hey, Gary Webb, what about that guy? 72 years old, and he's still out there getting it done.
He gets him out of the car better than I do. Yeah, that's an amazing career. And at the level that he's performed through that entire time is impressive as well. Yeah. You got guys like Leroy Brenner, and there's some guys getting up there in the years that are doing it. They started a feature over at East Wayne. I think you were announcing. You made a comment about this experience on the front row. It was like 119 years or something.
Yeah, it was just crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, those guys.
Yeah, that's impressive.
But it really is. And
one more thing back to what you said about the sport growing. It's, you know, I didn't realize the value of the media to the sport. I mean, I guess, you know, I always would have thought I would enjoy watching like East Wayne Speedway on regular TV or whatever. But Gary Mativier did that video for us for the Heart of the Story. Yep. And I realized right then and there the potential for, you know, just using his videos to watch our car go down the track. Sponsors, you know, how much other people have enjoyed it. You know, the people that will click on it and watch that video. And it's the same thing, you know, you're doing that on a whole nother level as far as promoting it on a weekly basis. And that's how the sport's going to grow. It really is. And, you know, I was just sitting there thinking of that, and it's taking it to...
So because, I mean, people think of people think of dirt track racing, and they think of people that just throw all their money into their car, and that's all, you know what I mean? They rent out it to get out there and race. They don't buy anything. They don't, their whole life is at the dirt track, right? They live in the garage. Right. So that's not true, is it?
No, it's not
true. People, I get support from all over the place, obviously, you know, which is awesome. And I know that, you know, because I mean, I'd like to look at I'd love to get there sometime where we get some sponsors to help us out too. Right. And I think that,
And speaking of sponsors, you know, that's like with us and J&J Camper. You know, without those guys, Quad City Directional, PRS Group out of Washington State. Now, the sponsors are getting bigger and further away, and that's only because of, you know, the notoriety or whatever they're getting from the media. It's things like that. Without those guys, we wouldn't even be out. I wouldn't be out there for sure. You know, I couldn't go write a check for the things that I do. But
how long has it been since anybody, like the newspaper, anybody did any kind of results? I used to see that. Not
you
too
used
long
to,
ago.
yeah. Right. And that's how far it's come. Because we used to race on Sunday night, and we could not wait to get the paper Monday morning to see where other tracks finished and things like that.
Or even to see your name.
You need to start a newspaper then.
You know, I just think,
newspaper.
That's right. That's right.
You know, it was kind of funny. I went to Kenny Wallace's page today, and he was reading an article that was in Stock Car Racing magazine, and it had him and his brother and Alan Kulwicki and Dick Trickle in it. And Joyce Standridge wrote the article. You know, and of course, her husband raced sprint cars, late models, Rick Standridge. But those days are just gone. The print media, I couldn't wait to get the Hawkeye Racing News every week. But the problem you got is when I was up at East Moline in 11, the phone would be ringing at 10 o'clock at night. People want to know the results. I mean, we live in a world where everybody wants the information quick. They go through the drive-thru at the restaurant. They want to get their food quick. They want everything now, and they're not willing to wait for the paper to come out. And by the time you get a newspaper and the print media sitting on your front steps, it's old news.
Right, right. But that's one thing with the accessibility that we have. Still kind of packaging that and bringing that to the people of what happened and where, I still think has its value, because it is still, even with the YouTube videos and updates, it's still, you have to go find it to find things. And that was one of the beauties to the newspaper is they brought the information to you, whereas now you got to go find it.
Right.
And you can find just about anything, but you got to go find it. So you don't know what you're not finding. You don't know.
Right, but you're also looking at what, someone's opinion or perspective on it.
Right.
And you can sit and watch it. And
But it's a story. People want a story.
They do.
Yeah,
That's
they
it.
want a
That's
story.
entertainment for them. From a racer's standpoint, I go home from the racetrack on a Sunday night and I'll sit and watch 2 hours worth of done right video and our own video.
Nice.
And the one thing I can tell any driver out there though, I was shocked at either how bad I was years ago at picking up what the race car was doing. When you see something and you think it felt this way, if you watch it on video, sometimes you're completely wrong,
different.
or you were wrong about how you were getting to that point, and that tool has been astronomical for us. And
Oh yeah.
I've heard a lot of people compare dirt, or not to compare, but they don't like NASCAR. So
Right.
they're like, I'm not going to Davenport. It's like NASCAR, and I'm like, not though. Really, it's
Not even close.
really not.
no,
It's Doug. That's funny that you say that, because that was one of the things when we got into sprint car racing. That was one of the things, and I'm going to touch on what Kelly said. When we started running at Knoxville every week, that was one of the very first things that we did was we signed up to get a VHS tape sent to us from the telecast, because they recorded every single race, and we spent more than people have to pay to get your entire package, just to get our copy every single week. And then we would watch it every single, it would come on Wednesday, and we would sit, and it was like game tape. We would sit down and go over the notes of what we ran and how we had the car set up in our racing notes. And we would go over it almost like game tape in preparation for the next week's races.
and I do the same thing. I'll go back and back the video up, pause it, stop it, and then I'll go another 2 laps and I'll stop it. And if I see something different, I'll try and figure out where I was going in, if it was me. And I mean, that's something I would have never done before. It wasn't even accessible. And a lot of times we found that it's me. It's the guy, not the car.
As I've helped coach and help other drivers develop, that's an invaluable tool. And having the accessibility that we have now, you don't have to search so hard to get that information. But I've done that a lot as I've helped coach and develop drivers, to where I've set them down, kind of the same thing, set them down with the video where they said, the car's pushing, and it's not pushing. And you can show them on the video.
It's valuable to sit and watch the guys you're racing against.
That's,
too.
oh yeah.
I mean,
you
can really see
where
where they're
you're
doing something
getting
different than you.
Right.
When you're out there, you don't have time to look. If you ask somebody on your crew, you're getting their opinion. If you go back and watch them tapes, and you can sit and watch, you can see, you can see a real time assessment of what's going on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great.
Yep, without a doubt. And it's you're right. It's not opinionated. It's
Right.
not a, it's a wow.
Everybody
I
has their own
stunk.
perspective on what's what. I mean, like I said, the biggest thing that shocked me when I started doing the video stuff is how often I thought something felt one way and it really was not. It was just it felt that way because of something that was going on prior to that, 10 feet before that.
Yep. Been there, done that. Yeah, been there, done that, without a doubt.
So, Doug, we're about ready to wrap up the show. We've been on the air almost an hour now. I want to ask you, you're fighting stage 4 cancer.
Yes, sir.
And, I've been through that with my wife. She spent 3 months up in Iowa City. And, that was stage 3 that she had. And, I tell you, when I drove to Iowa City every day, I'd pray all the way up there, and I'd pray all the way home. And I said, God answers prayers. He answered my prayers when I was praying for my wife. But, I want to let you know that, I've known you a lot of years. I love your family. I love you. We're all you're going to be with Christ in heaven someday. And I always tell people, there we go, brother. And I want as many racing friends there as I can get there. And because I want to be up there with Ronnie Whedon and Benny Hofer and all the old timers. Right. Just chewing the fat and having a good time. And you and I are, we've talked, but you're just going to keep going till you can't go.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I love that. That's
Hey,
awesome.
do you need a backup driver?
Yeah, I might.
All right.
I just might.
Yeah, I
You're
still
going
got
to
my
have to open
helmet.
the window up a little bit.
Yeah.
But no, it's something I'm very proud of seeing you out there on the track.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I had.
It's not easy sometimes.
It can't be.
Nope. That's and I guess that comes with age too a little bit.
Yeah.
The will's there sometimes, but the strength isn't, and things like that. But we just keep plugging on, and we'll get where we get.
Yeah.
But that's also the inspiration for the name of the show, True Grit. Is it'd be easy. Racing isn't always easy. It'd be a lot easier to sit at home and watch.
No, you're exactly right.
But it's that true grit, and that's one of the reasons why we wanted to have you on the show, is because you have that true grit, that never say die attitude, where you say, even at this stage, you're out there and killing it. That's awesome.
I have to think that the cancer probably played a part in coming back to racing too.
Yeah.
You got to get back to your core a little bit.
Yeah. There you go, brother.
Dig deep.
Well, man,
You're doing a great job.
Done a wonderful job, and it's been a pleasure watching you, Doug. And like I say, know your family, and we've been around this game for a lot of years. And just want to let you know I love you, love your family. I love what you're doing out there right now. And, I pray for you. I take care of the prayer list at church. I've got you on the prayer list. I put you on the prayer list again last week. So we got a lot of people at church praying for you, and we're praying that God brings peace and comfort into your family's lives, because it was a tough time. I remember when people come up to me when my wife was sick, and we didn't know what direction things were going to go at the time, and they would say, "Shane, I know how you feel," and I just said, "No, you don't know how I feel."
Right.
And I really, when I talk to somebody, I just want to talk. That's all I want to do.
Right.
I really, and this may sound a little rude, but I really didn't want to hear any opinions. I'm just like, man.
Nope, I feel the exact same.
I
There's
just
certain
don't
people we want to talk to more than some less,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, I understand. Well, we appreciate you too. We feel the same way, and appreciate you guys having us on. It's been pretty
And
cool.
I'm afraid you might have told one of your secrets, because Mike from Sub-Zero is listening and says that he realized that that you get quite a bit of information from him, pretty sneaky. So you might have to work a little bit harder to get your information.
Never been very good at any of this except for getting information.
Yeah, it's great.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
It has.
I'll say one thing. The Bible says, and it's the Lord talking to you. He says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be worried or dismayed, for the Lord thy God is with you wherever you may go." And I want you to know that, when I hear that scripture, I think of you, Doug, because you are strong and courageous. And, my dad always told me, you'll know a person by the fruit they bear. And just sit back and watch how they act. And I got to tell you, you're bearing good fruit. So
Thank you, sir.
All right, brother.
Yep.
Well, hey, thanks for tuning in today. Remember, we're going to be back on the air again Monday night and 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
That's what we're going to shoot for next week.
No, we're going to hit it next week.
We're going to hit it, and we're going to ask that you share this with all your friends, family. It's a great show, and we appreciate you all being out there, because without you guys, we couldn't make it happen. Any words in closing, Pat?
Yeah, please make sure you like and share down at the bottom. And another great show, Shane. Doug, thanks again for joining us. Kelly, thanks for everything that you do.
Thank you guys.
All right.
And thank you, everybody out there. I appreciate the support for sure.
All right, in closing, thanks for listening, and I'll be seeing you around the track.